Bex here, aka Zanaid, your host of Fabulous Cosplay, and today I'm going to tell you about 2 different face masks that I made from fabric. This is not a tutorial, this is a testimonial about which face mask pattern I like best and why, so that if you're making a face mask, you can make the one that is the coolest. If you are stopping by for the first time, you should know that I do lots of cosplay tutorials and other Magic the Gathering nerdy videos. Go ahead and smash the like button on this video, subscribe so you don't miss anything, and now let's get into the pattern making, the making of all of the face masks that I did live on Twitch. You can follow me at twitch.tv/cbexx. Mask A is a pattern from Joann's.com, Joann's Fabric.
First, I measured a 9x6 rectangle and cut out my pattern.
I feel like life is just working now. All right, quarantine brain is a thing. Hashtag quarantine brain. So there is our front side of our mask.
Next, I applied interfacing to both of my pattern pieces and ironed the interfacing on, giving my fabric a little bit more stiffness. And peel it off. Now I'm stitching right sides together. If you did it correctly on the fold, you should only stitch on one side. I wasn't thinking about it and stitched on 3 sides rather than 2.
I was only supposed to sew along the 9-inch side. Whatever. I'll attach my elastics on the outside. I'm too relaxed. It was a good pun. Quarantine brain. Oh, and I need to cut my corners first.
I pinned both elastic pieces to my mask. I had to open up one of my seams, but it was no problem. Because after I make the pleats, which is what I'm doing here, I will need to top stitch around the entire rectangle, re-securing the seams I had to pop.
I would say, I mean, I kind of knew this going into it, but a really graphical print can be hard to see on the pleat version. So note to anybody who's going to try them. And now we are ready to tuck this bottom side in so that it has a nice seam. Oh my gosh, this interfacing is really sticking together.
In hindsight, probably not, but here I am pinning the seam together, choosing my matching thread to go with, and top stitching around my mask. Make sure to pivot on those corners, folks.
We've got our birds here on each corner. And here we go. Pattern B is from craftpassion.com. I have my pattern piece. We're gonna...
I wanted to show even without a computer printer, you can make a pattern piece at home.
Oh, there we go.
Now that I have a pattern, I'm cutting out the same pattern piece for the lining as well as the outside. Technically, the lining piece should be a little bit smaller, but this still works. And I have some awesome Captain Marvel fabric that I'm using for this one. This pattern starts by pinning the middle seams of both the outer fabric and the lining. You'll want to make sure your right sides are together as mentioned. Then you can sew up the middle seams.
Just to hide your face like you're cooler than me. Underneath the palm trees. Give a little sneak peek. Something that you have to do similar to cutting your corners is cutting your curves. So that
and when you're doing this, don't cut into your stitches. After flipping the seams out, I pressed them so that they had a nice round curve. Next, stitch the seam allowance to one side and stitch the lining's seam allowance also to one side. That way when you pin it together, there will be an even amount of fabric on both sides. And here I am pinning my fabric together. Again, your print should be on the inside. And now I'm stitching on the top and bottom seams. Now we flip it right side out. Pressing the seam will give me a nice flat edge for top stitching here across the top and bottom of the mask. Fold the edge about 1/4 of an inch and then 1/4 of an inch again, pin it into place and repeat on both sides. When stitching this down, make sure to stay very close to the inside edge to allow room for your cord. So in case you don't know, I'm putting a safety pin on the edge of my ribbon so that I have something that I can push through so that I can feel it. Hey look, there's my safety pin. Hey look, there's my ribbon. The pleated mask, even though a simple rectangle, was harder to do the pleats and not as comfortable over the ears, where the fitted mask fits a lot more comfortable and it actually was easier to make. I didn't even have to use interfacing, so I like the second version better.
Have you made a mask yet? If you have, let me know in the comments what pattern you used and how you think it compares to the two that I tried. If you haven't made a mask yet, give it a shot and let me know how it goes. I'd love to get tagged in a picture of the mask that you make so I can see how it turns out. That's part of being fabulous, sharing what we make. Well, until next time, stay home, stay safe, but most importantly, be fabulous.